We're going to dive into a rotisserie snake draft for 2022-23 Fantasy Yahoo Basketball coming up next on Beat the Odds Card Breaks. Don't go anywhere. Hello, friends. This is David from Beat the Odds Card Breaks. We're going to be doing a live draft here with Yahoo. We're going to be trying out a rotisserie draft, snake draft. So we're going to actually, we've only got minutes before this starts here. I'll do a couple of quick notes of things that I like to do to prepare for the drafts here. I'll actually switch over to the screen. You'll see the draft kind of here. I'll just get it loaded up here on the screen. The first thing that I like to do is kind of get an idea of who is, what teams have which depth charts. So I go on to ESPN. They've got NBA depth charts. This is a fantastic resource to use. Usually the page will be on starter, so I go to full, so that way I can see the entire team and where they're projecting, at least to start the season, each player is going to be playing. So ideally you're looking for players that might jump out and have a starting spot to start the year. And of course you want to target those type of players here in the draft. Now there's about a minute before the draft starts. I'm sitting in pick number 6, which is actually not a bad position to be in because you typically will be able to get, you know, a solid player in each round. I find that if you got somebody in mind, chances are you'll be able to get that person. Obviously not the top 4 players. Those will typically go off the board here pretty quick. But usually you can land a good first rounder, a good second rounder, a good third rounder, and so on in the middle positions here. So this is a little different. We did do a head-to-head snake draft already, and the head-to-head format. There is one major change that I do in rotisserie that I don't typically do in head-to-head, and that has to do with injured players. In rotisserie, you're really looking to be able to get the most out of your players the entire season. So here, looking for players who are going to be playing is going to be the key. And of course, if they're injured, they're not going to help you out there at all. You'll be able to plug them in, but you're going to have to find a way to get that production. Day 1 of the season is just as important as the last day of the season in terms of getting points. So you need to do a good job of making sure that your team is strong and healthy throughout the season as best as you can. Okay, so what I typically do with drafts is I will take a look at the average draft position, and I'll keep that kind of in view here so I can follow that along here as we go through the draft. Of course, as you get closer to the start of the season, likely the average draft position for a lot of these players will change. So at the early on in like the preseason, before we get really too deep into it, there, it's not a bad idea just to kind of scroll through and see who might be a bargain in some of these picks. Now, we are of course early on in the draft. The strategy that I have when you start off a draft is you're trying to pick up the best players available. So I'm not all that worried about filling positions at this point. I want to make sure that I get my hands on good all-around two-way players as much as I can to load up on my team, and then when we get into the middle and late rounds, I'll start to address any type of holes that I might have in both positions and stats. So it looks like I might be able to get the player that I'm targeting here. I certainly will. So I was really hoping Giannis was going to fall to me at pick number 5, and this is a phenomenal pick. He is all defense, all offense, is going to get you a ton of rebounds. This is absolutely a great player to have on your team. Now, one thing, of course, that's a negative against Giannis is his free throw percentage. He's going to take a lot of free throws. And he doesn't make them at a great clip. So if he actually does get, if he does show improvement in those areas here, this will be a bona fide number 1-2 pick this year. The more I take a look at, the more I see Anthony Edwards coming off real early in drafts. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I see Ja Morant sitting here. He is certainly an injury risk, but he is definitely going to be going on the squad. I've put myself down in the corner here, just so that way I kind of don't block what's going on the screen behind you guys here, so you can see what's happening. One tip that I will give when we do drafts is to make good use out of your queue. So you'll see the My Queue up in the top right-hand corner there. What you can do is you can kind of go through each list of players and pick up or queue these players into that list, just so that way they're kind of top of mind. Now, again, most people, like, I don't typically look at anybody above 50 in the average draft position for the queue, because those are pretty much always going to be picked up here. But as we go down the line, there's certainly a few players that I will take a look at to add to the queue, and we'll get to that here in just a second. We are now back to taking a peek to see what we're going to do here. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is an interesting one, because if that team tanks, which it sounds like they're going to, he may lose some positions or some playing time towards the end of the season. But he's going to be the number 1 option on a young OKC team, and I kind of like that here. And he also is a shooting guard. I got DeMar DeRozan down there. Fred VanVleet's a good one there too, but of course he's going to hurt you in field goal percentage. You know what? There's Jaylen Brown too. We're going to pick up Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. All right, there's Bradley Beal. Which way do I want to go here? You know what? Maybe we're going to take Beal. I think we're going to take Beal, because he may be a safer bet down the stretch to get some playing time, especially if Washington's kind of playing for a play-in tournament. And I know it did say game time decision, but he should be ready to go for the start of the season. So going back to the queue, we'll take a look at some more players that we could put on this list here, people that I want to kind of target. Tyrese Maxey, certainly a good one. Tobias Harris seems a little low for him, but he's no longer second option, or solid second option for scoring. He's definitely the third. Andrew Wiggins isn't a bad one there. Tyler Hero, I think he's one I'm going to target here in the draft. Jordan Poole has some really good percentages, and he's going to probably usurp. I wouldn't be shocked if he usurps Klay Thompson for that starting spot here during the year. All right, let's see where we're at here. Oh, Jaylen Brown, DeAndre Ayton, Evan. Whoa, this is a difficult one. So I'm going to switch back over to ADP. Man, any of these players would do really well, but I'm leaning towards Jaylen Brown. I think that is the way that we're going to go. Another player that I've been seeing jumping really early in these preliminary drafts is Scotty Barnes. Of course, being a huge Raptor fan, I was hoping to get some shares of him in this year's drafts, but it looks like it's going to be harder to be able to do that. I've got a very interesting pick here. Bona fide point guard in De'Aaron Fox, who's going to score a ton and get you assists, or a shooting guard, a number 2, who is going to be getting you assists there as well in CJ McCollum. Probably a little bit more of an all-around player there. Definitely going to hit you more threes, but as I look through the list, I've got threes kind of in every position. I think it makes sense for me to go De'Aaron Fox here. Have another true point guard that would complement Morant very well. Now we are 5 picks in. We're approaching the midpoint of the draft. So here, this is where I start to target positions that I need. So I need power forwards and centers here. So usually what I'll do is I'll take a look to see who I can kind of pick up that would help me out, or help me fill those spots there. This one is a difficult choice here. I have Tobias Harris, who would fill a power forward spot there for the squad. I'm not too big on Jakob Pertl here. Clint Capella, maybe I can scoop him up, or one of the two of them up here in the next round. But I think... See, I see Tyler Hero out there, and I'm trying to buy in on as many shares of Tyler Hero as I can, but I don't think that's the wise pickup here. I do need to fill out those spots here for the squad, and Tobias Harris is going to slot right in nicely for small forward and power forward for the team. So we're 3 picks away from the our next selection here. And we're trying to fill those spots. I could definitely use another center here, and it looks like the center I was looking for just got drafted, so he's off the board. Kind of leaves me in a bit of a tight spot here, but I see a Tyler Hero that would be a phenomenal add to the squad here for my 7th pick. And he's going to join the team. Again, not quite what I wanted to do, and now we're starting to get a little guard heavy. So we really need to focus in and pick up some of the, or start to fill some more of those holes there. So we got the next pick here, and looking at this, and there's a couple of ways I can go. Jaren Jackson Jr. is still sitting on the board here, and this is kind of where I was feeling pretty comfortable to pick him up and just stash him. 8th pick of a 13 pick draft is not a bad spot to put a game-changing defender kind of in your back pocket. So I think we're going to go ahead and draft Jaren Jackson Jr. here, and of course he's going to sit on our injured list. Now we got our next turn here. RJ Barrett is still up on the board to select. Now, he's not going to really help me out in the defensive categories, but he is going to be a pure point scorer, and he is going to be joining the squad. So now, again, we're getting towards the back end. I want to now target stats that I am lacking in. So as I scroll through the list, at least players who are going to be playing right now, I'm definitely light on rebounding and shot blocking. So we're going to take a look at also filling center position. Well, I would love to pick up Colin Sexton in this spot right now. I don't think that would be the wise choice for me to try and fill those holes. Again, I don't typically use, there are some strategies that you can use here. You can punt categories, so if you want to, you can punt blocks and you can punt rebounding in favor of trying to load up on the other categories to get as many points as you can from there. But I kind of like to try and spread things out as much as I can to give me a better chance of placing high in most categories, or in many categories. But out of the players that we have here, I think the one that's going to help me out the most is likely going to be Isaiah Stewart, because I need his rebounding and I need his shot blocking. Although he's not really elite in blocking shots, he should be able to help out in that category. Our next pick coming up here, we've got a few different ways to go with this. I can start to, again, take a look at trying to fill out the rest of the roster here. Probably need to pick up another big. And I'm leaning actually towards Alexei Pokusevsky. I know he's got a bit of a ways to come before he can round into a true fantasy star. But he has the skill set to possibly be able to do it. Definitely doesn't have the body, but he definitely has the skill set. So I think And of course, he plays 3 positions, which is super helpful. I think we're going to go ahead and we are going to draft Alexei Pokasevsky. The benefit of him as well is, well, unfortunately, because Chet Holmgren is down, a lot of those minutes are likely going to go to Poku. So he may see some extra playing time that he may not have originally seen. I mean, if Chet was healthy, I wouldn't even look at Poku here for the squad, but we'll take a flyer on him. We're late in the certainly late in the draft, so we can afford to take a couple of risks here and see how they pan out. Okay, so we got 2 picks before we choose next here. I'm going to target, actually kind of going a little against my grain here as well. I'm going to target somebody who is injured, Jonathan Isaac, with the same kind of idea as why I picked up Jaren Jackson Jr., although I feel pretty confident that he should be back to full strength here towards the end of the year. Jonathan Isaac, he may end up playing, he may not, but if he does play, if he does get cleared to play, he's going to certainly help me out in the categories that I feel that I'm lacking. So we're going to go ahead and draft Jonathan Isaac and just hope to the NBA gods there that he's able to make it onto the court this season. I'm not too worried again this deep into the draft. I mean, with my second to last pick, I pick up somebody who I think is going to be an easy steal if he's healthy. It's definitely worth the risk. Trey Jones is an interesting one. I believe he has the keys to the kingdom there in San Antonio, so he might not be a bad one to consider. Not going to help you out in the 3-point shooting category, but he's certainly a solid source of assists and steals. All right, we're about to select our last pick here, and I'm kind of torn between LeVert, Jordan Clarkson, or Trey Jones. I may just end up going Trey Jones because he'd be a super plus. Just take a look at what he did there last year, just to kind of see here. Yeah, I mean, This is actually a good time to show you guys what I mean about going to take a look at those depth charts. So if we scroll down, because I'm not even entirely certain here, if we scroll down to San Antonio, there he is right there, Trey Jones, PG1, and he doesn't have a whole lot of competition behind him. So I think that's who we're going to go with. We're going to pick up Trey Jones for our last pick here for the draft. I think that's a pretty solid way to end it. And that's going to be it here for the drafts. The post screen, which is what you're seeing here, the post draft screen, gives you the ability to kind of see how well you drafted here. So I go into the team section often, and I will take a look at the squad and kind of see. Typically what I'll do is I'll go to 21-22 average stats. Now use this kind of with a grain of salt. So we go projected stats. It's not going to give me per game stats here, so I like to use the average ones. Take this with a little bit of a grain of salt because there are certain players that didn't play last year, and there are certain players who definitely have different scenarios this year, and I'm hoping we'll be able to improve. So there is a lot of risk on this team here, but there's certainly a lot of good that could possibly happen here with this squad there as well. So ideally what I do is I take a look at my counting stats to see that I'm going to be strong in many of the categories that I need to be strong in. So the first one that I look at is 3 points made. And ideally, I'd like to have 5 players with 2 3 points made or more. On the team, I certainly have 3, but we are missing kind of that extra punch here. So I've got some guys kind of on the cusp who may hit that 2 3-pointer made stat here over the course of the season. Bradley Beal, Jaren Jackson Jr. should he get healthy and be able to participate and play. We may see those guys shooting at that type of clip here, but we do have Jaylen Brown, we do have Tyler Hero, RJ Barrett, who are currently at that 2 3-pointer made mark. Now the next spot his points per game. And again, I'd like to ideally have 5 players with at least 20 points per game or more. And this team is absolutely disgustingly stacked with big scores. So, I mean, it's going to help me out with points for sure, but you know, I'm hoping that it'll be able to hold true with efficiency and all that here. But we got Jaw at 27 points, Bradley Beal at 23, Jaylen Brown at 23 there as well, Giannis at almost 30, De'Aaron Fox at 23, Tyler Hero, RJ Barrett both at 20, and then there are players on here that I expect to see improve here. I don't think Tobias is going to hit 17 points. He may be towards the 15 points per game here towards this, as the season progresses. But I'm expecting to see more points out of Poku, maybe even out of RJ Barrett. He might be able to post higher than 20 per game. We shall see what happens in New York. I guess it depends. If they do land Damian Mitchell, then RJ Barrett's likely going to suffer in points categories, but he may get better in efficiency. So we'll see kind of how that one plays out. Rebounds, I'd like to see 5 players with at least 8 rebounds per game, and this is where we are currently going to be hurting. So as I go through the list, we are shy. We only have really 2 rebounders. We got Giannis and we got Isaiah Stewart. So that didn't bode well here for us. We may be looking to the waiver wire to try and pick up some extra rebounders here early on in the season. Assists, we want to take a look at 5 with at least 5 assists per game or more. And I think we did quite well here with this. We got 4 already bona fide assist bringers, if you will, here. Jaw at 6.7, Bradley Beal 6.6 assists per game. Giannis at 5.8. He's gonna be a monster across the board, so he's gonna obviously contribute there as well. De'Aaron Fox is in there. Tyler Hero might see a bump. Trey Jones should definitely see a bump in that. So I feel pretty good with the assist category. I think we'll do fine. Steals per game. Again, I'd like to have 5 with at least 1 steal per game or more. And here we count 4, but then again, there are certain people that are right on the cusp, and something I'm expecting more steals out of. So Jaw again 1.2, Jaylen Brown 1.1, Giannis 1.1, Jaren Jackson Jr. if he gets healthy, he's right on the cusp of 1 steal a game. De'Aaron Fox at 1.2. Trey Jones again didn't get a whole lot of minutes last year, so I would expect that he should be closer to 1 this season here as well. And then blocks, we're looking for 5 players with at least 1 block per game. And here we're going to be a little short. Giannis, Jaren Jackson Jr., Isaiah Stewart are the 3 that we have here. Triple J is going to be out, of course, so that's certainly going to hurt the team in that category. Poku might get some more playing time, so we may see him towards a block a game. And of course, Jonathan Isaac, if he's ready to play, that's his specialty. So I'm kind of leaning a little bit on that, or maybe I shouldn't. It's not exactly a safe bet to be able to count on a player who's injured to be able to contribute during the season. But that's going to do it here for this episode. Let me know in the comments what you think about how we drafted this draft. I would give, like, if I were to letter grade this, I would say it's kind of a B. I like that we've certainly loaded up on some scorers and some people who should be absorbing a lot of minutes should they stay healthy, of course. But we are certainly lacking in defensive stats, so we may be needing to take a look at what we need to do to address that as the season goes on. We are going to be coming out with more fantasy basketball content as we progress through the season, so keep an eye on the channel. If you enjoy this kind of content, definitely leave a like here for us. The likes certainly go a long way to helping us out here on the channel. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. We do a lot of card breaks here on this channel. We are a card breaking channel. We're kind of just jumping into doing a little bit of fantasy here as well, just to supplement some extra videos that we're doing at this time of year. And if you're interested in that stuff there, take a look at the description box below and you'll see all the handles that you need to take a look at to be able to get into some of our breaks. But that's going to do it here for this one. Thank you guys again for watching. We're going to sign off for now, but we are going to catch you guys on our next episode.